like you. Thanks, Tony. I know you want to be selling, but sometimes you have to take a step back and maybe just reevaluate. So thanks for taking the time. I really appreciate it. So in my experience, I found that um, many people battle with proposals. Some of you, I'm sure, hopefully all of you have got some kind of CRM system, and you put things into the pipeline, and then you start chasing them. So you get from uh, a lead to a qualified prospect to an appointment. Then you give a proposal, and that's where the disconnect is, because that's when you start waiting, you start chasing. Um, they start ghosting you. They go quiet. Um, they say they're going to get to it, and they never do. All those things. If you can put up your hand, anyone have that experience? I don't know. I know Tracy can't work the hand symbol, but maybe you can, or just put it in the chat.
I also don't know how to use my hand, but I
Okay.
agree.
Well, Tony Sham clapped. Okay. All right. So clearly, okay, there we go. Lungi, well done. Rizia. Okay. So I think from all our perspectives, we all battle with that. I mean, I do it as well, and it gets frustrating. And I think sometimes you get irritated with yourself. You think, well, maybe you didn't sell properly, or maybe it's your fault, or whatever the case, or the price is too much, or whatever the case. So I've put together a little presentation, and I'm going to make an argument, and hopefully it'll land. But in my experience, if we don't do it this way, then we're always going to have proposals in the pipeline and over months, and then we just can't close them. So let me share my screen here. Okay, let's. All right, so you can all see that. You can see that, Tony.
Yes,
Okay, perfect.
dead
Okay.
right.
Now I can't see you, as I said, but if anything goes wrong, just shout at me, because I can't see you if you put up your hand or anything. All right. So why do clients ghost you after sending a proposal? Well, I'll give you a reason. But first thing I want to say to you is, my daughter calls me the triggerer. So um, she says, Daddy, you shouldn't speak to people, because when you speak to them, you trigger them. So something I say here you might not agree with. Um, but I've been doing sales consulting for now 23 years, and I've run close on 12, actually more than 12 sales teams. So I kind of know the business of sales. I've also been I'm still a salesperson. I mean, we're always selling. So I've also been a salesperson for many years. And so I understand from both sides, from us salespeople in the trenches, and obviously from leadership, from the sales manager, the sales director, your MD, from their perspective as well. So I play in both worlds, and I'm heavy on CRM, so I like to always, you know, um, if you can't manage it, if you can't measure it, and I'm convinced that you're all doing your activity, you're doing your phone calls, you're seeing your people. Nowadays, probably you're seeing more and more people on Zoom and Teams. Um, and that's great from a time perspective, but from a sales perspective, it's not that great. I always prefer to see people face to face, because there's a better vibe. I mean, even I would prefer you to have you in the room than do this online, because it's just a better vibe. So we have what we call hot cognition. People are vibing, they're really keen, and you probably had this where they're really keen. You've got them hot to trot, pop out the proposal, and then they ghost you. Okay. So I'm going to make one comment now. Many of us in sales don't understand who our actual target market is, because we know it's a whatever buyer for, like in Tracy's case, for paper. Um, so there's a certain buyer in that. But here's the thing: um, not everyone is your customer, even though they fit into your band, your demographic. Not everyone's your customer because not everyone can maybe afford you. Maybe you're more expensive. So part of your challenge already is disqualifying prospects before you see them. Now, it's a double-edged sword because I understand that most of you probably work for somebody and you have a sales manager that says, hey, you have to have a certain amount of activity, you have to see X amount of people, make so many phone calls, whatever the case. So your nervousness could be, well, if I disqualify people that aren't going to do business with me, I can't put them in the pipeline and I can't keep my sales manager happy. So that's one way to play it. But the other way to play it is to rather get yourself in front of qualified prospects, because that's half the game won. So we don't have time to unpack this because this is a webinar, but I suspect many of us here are seeing people we shouldn't be seeing because we're just going through the motions and putting them into the pipeline. So that needs to stop. So the way I normally run a meeting, and it depends on your company, the first meeting for me is never the actual sales meeting. Okay, I sell higher end tickets, and so if you sell a higher end ticket, but if you're just doing a one-off something, it's probably the first one can be a sales meeting. And what I do is I have a 30-minute discovery call, and it's not a discovery call, it's just a call to see if we are a fit. And within 10 minutes, we are going to know if we're going to do business together. And if we're going to do business together, I then cut the call and I say, listen, let's set up a proper time so we can go through this properly. And that's when you do your proper sales pitch and your discovery call. Okay. If we're not going to do business, I'll say, thank you very much. I don't think I'm for you, but thanks for the 10 minutes. So why do I do it like this? So that you don't waste a whole hour on somebody that's actually never going to buy from you. Okay. Yes, you can tell your sales manager and your KPI, say, hey, look, I saw my requisite number of people, but you in your heart of heart know that this is probably not a deal. So rather get rid of that and rather focus your time on someone that's actually going to do business with you. I hope that makes sense. But it's a brave thing to do because most of us work on what I call a hope strategy. We put as many people in the pipeline, we see as many people, and we know that if we see 10 people, we maybe close 3. And I'm going to put it to you that I'll bet in today's world, most of us here in this room aren't seeing 10 people and closing 3. We're probably closing more like 1. Things have changed. When I was in sales 20 years ago, we could close 3 to 5 if we saw 10. World has changed. There's so much more competition. So we're not getting those kind of margins. So what's the deal? The deal is see qualified prospects, so then your close rate will be better. Yes, your pipeline will be smaller, but your deal movement will be bigger, and your deal size and your win rate will be bigger. So that's partly why your proposals aren't landing, because you're sending them to people that were never going to buy in the first place. So it takes, as I say, it takes guts to make that call. But rather, just think from a time perspective. If you're traveling to a client, let's say it's an hour call. It's not an hour call. Maybe they're half an hour away from you. So now it's half an hour there to get to the client, half an hour to get back to the office or to your house. That's 2 hours you spent. You want to make sure you're spending the 2 hours on qualified prospects. So that's the first thing. And if you're doing Zoom calls, you can obviously do it quicker. But even an hour wasted or 45 minutes wasted on a call is a waste. And what you want to do is you want to calculate your salary and your commission. And I hope all of you are at least earning some commission, and work out what your hourly rate is. And once you get your hourly rate, let's say you're 1,000 Rand an hour. Imagine every time you saw a prospect that wasn't qualified and was never going to buy, you basically wasted 1,000 Rand. Okay. So start looking at it, start valuing your time and protect your time by not seeing bum clients. Okay, so that's the first step. So this is what happens with most of us. We send the proposal. We know that it solves the problem, and then we wait. And then nothing. No questions, just silence. So I think I already blew the slide by setting it up at the beginning, but we know this is what happens to most of us. And I don't know about you, but for me, it's not a great place to be. So I try and close deals quite quickly. So if you have a CRM system, there should be a setting called rotting. And in rotting, you should be able to work out your benchmark. When we send a proposal, the average client will respond in a week or in 5 weeks or in a month, whatever the case. But your CRM then should highlight, hey, it's been 5 days, they haven't responded to the proposal. Please do something. Okay. So that's how you keep on track. And I haven't put it here in the slideshow, but here's something that's going to, none of us want to be beggars. I certainly don't. I want to come in with a strong posture. I mean, I didn't sign up to be a salesperson so that I always feel like I'm the servant and the client is the master, because that, unfortunately, is how most people behave. We come in from a weaker elevation. We always put the client up first, and we need to change our posture and say that we are equal to the client. In fact, we are also on that first discovery call, we are also interviewing the client to see if we want to work with them. So that first interview is an evaluation process. But if you come in like the client is king and you just some kind of service provider, you're always going to be on the back foot. And here's what I tell all the people I train. I said, remember, you are the prize. The client is lucky to have you because you are going to help them with a solution that's going to take them over the finish line. So be confident in what you have. Be proud of who you are. Don't ever go cap in hand, because just by having a kind of cap in hand posture, you already put yourself way into the negative and mess it up, because now you're just an order taker or another commodity pusher, another salesperson that's not very articulate, that kind of just.
For Uber gig.
Sorry, what's that?
Days because I have to go do my makeup there as well.
You need to do what?
My makeup there and my hairstyling.
So, Tony, is someone's mic on or what?
Sorted, Jacques. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I don't know where I was now, but okay. So that's cool. Then, so you need, but you've heard everything I've said, Tony, up until then.
Yes, Jacques.
Okay,
Heard
thank you,
everything.
thank you. As I said, I can't see you, so I'm not getting a visual. Um, so get your posture right first. Remember, you're the prize. That's all I'm going to say, because that's half the reason we lose the sales, because we're not confident. Okay, and we need to be confident in the sale, and you need to be proud of what you're doing. Okay, so Tony, I see there's a chemistry. You want to admit her?
Done.
Okay, cool. Now, for some reason, my slides hung. Just give me a second.
It's moved.
It's moving now. Thank you, love. Okay, so now it's working. Okay, so the aftermath is you follow up once, maybe twice, and then the questions start. Did they hate it? Was it the price? Did I miss something? So and then they just ghost you forever. So what I was saying earlier, I use one technique, and this also takes courage, because a lot of us leave proposals in the pipeline because at least it looks like we've got stuff out there. So when the sales manager tasks you at the end of the month and says how many deals you've got on the table, you can show them, hey, look at all these proposals. And we're hoping that they're going to drop. So here's the problem. You and I know that most of them aren't going to drop. You and I know sometimes we pad the pipeline. We put in proposals that are never going to drop, but it keeps everybody happy. And our bosses then forecast into the next quarter and say, hey, look at all these deals we've got coming in. And then there's no deals, and then everyone gets upset. Okay, so here's what I do. Once you hit your threshold where the client is supposed to now accept the proposal, I do one simple line, and maybe you want to write this down, or it's going to be in the recording. I write an email to the client or a WhatsApp or whatever the case, and all I say is, are you no longer interested in this project? Let me say that again. You write, are you no longer interested in this project? And then one of two things is going to happen. They're either going to send you a note and say, yes, thank you, we've gone another way. And then at least you then get it out you put it in your CRM as lost, and it's out. Or the second thing is going to happen, oh my goodness, I'm sorry, I've been so busy, I forgot, I'll get to it. Okay, so those are, either one is a win, because I'm going to swear now, and Tony always shouts at me, get the crap out of the app. Okay, get the crap out of the app. Get all the ones that are never going to work, get them out, because they're just never going to sell. Rather come to some kind of decision. Okay, so use that. Are you no longer interested in this project? And I've got a variation of that is softer. So Tony's going to give me your email addresses after this, and I will send you a couple of variations as well to use. So that because I mean, this is an hour session. I'm probably going to speak for another 10 minutes. This is not going to save you. The whole thing is you need to go and do the work. Okay, so I will send you some other variations of how to get people to either say no, and you want them to say no, because then at least you know, and then start looking at the people that are saying no and say, hey, I keep seeing people who look like this. Maybe they're not my right target market. So you start doing some investigation. As a sales manager, what I used to do as well in the day was I would phone about a couple of weeks later. I'd phone the prospect we lost, and I'd just say, hey, why did we lose the deal? Blah, blah, blah. So we could get some kind of handle and some kind of sense of what we were doing wrong. Okay. But I'm going to tell you what we're doing wrong. We're solving the wrong problem. It's not a proposal problem. It's not your follow-up. It's not your proposal design. It's not even your price. By the way, on price, I know some of you are in a competitive market. Only 20% of buyers buy on price. Particularly if you're in a competitive market where price is an issue, you need to sell your personality, and because you've got to uncommoditize your product. Because right now you're selling a commodity. So people are going on the cheapest price or the middle price or whatever the case. So you're selling. You are the best thing that can turn it into instead of being compared. You don't want to be compared, because that's what's happening with your proposals. You want to be chosen. You want to be the obvious choice, and that takes some work. But as I said, ghosting is not the problem. And here is the exact problem. Most proposals fail because the decision was never made before they were sent. You never had a deal anyway. You thought you had a deal, but you didn't. Because here's the mistake literally all salespeople make. We think that the proposal is a sales tool. It is part of the sale. The proposal is not the sales tool. The proposal should be just the agreement of what's going to happen next. In other words, you should have closed the deal before the proposal. Now, yes, in some instances you can't do that. Where the instances, and these ones I can promise you very so, when you're not seeing the decision maker. So now you're talking to some underling, and then you have to send a proposal, and they send it up the chain. Come on. There's no relationship with the decision maker. You know that all they're going to see, they're going to look at 3 proposals, and then it's just going to go with the one that's cheapest or the middle price or whatever. But because you haven't managed to make a proper case, you haven't made an argument that you can win. So if the decision maker just sees a proposal, you bug it. If you send the proposal to the decision maker, and they don't accept it, it means that you didn't close the deal properly. So here's what happens. When your proposal arrives, they are still unsure. They are still comparing. They're still not convinced. So they delay. So I'm going to say this, not like AI. AI says, AI says, it's not your fault. It's the whatever. In this instance, it is your fault because you didn't close the deal. But I'm going to say it's not your fault because you don't know better. Okay? Because we've all been taught. I mean, I've been selling since the 80s. We've all been taught get to the proposal. So this has been the wrong strategy all along. So sometimes what I do if I'm feeling in a good mood, which I seldom do, I when someone says, "Can you give me a proposal?" I'll make a little giggle. I say, "Hey, you're not trying to get rid of me, are you?" So then and if I'm really sure that if we've bettered out, okay, remember in my world, I sell sales training, I sell keynotes, I speak at conferences and whatever for me, a very easy way to figure out if I've got the deal, I say, can you give me your accounts department's details so I can set up the invoice, please? And if they do, then we go for it. And if they don't, then I know there's a problem. Also, I'm not teaching you closing techniques, but the closing technique I use that works the best is to get to a no. So after you've done your pitch, whatever your pitch is, you just say to the prospect, is there anything stopping us from going ahead now? And then they'll say yes. Then there's an objection. Then you have to overcome that. Or they'll say no. Then you say, great. I tell you what, I'll get you the paperwork and the contract and da 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 da. And if they're still saying yes, that's okay. Then you've got the deal. Or you'll say, I wish I could find I don't think proposal is actually the right term. I think then you say, thank you, great. I'm going to send you the scope of work with the pricing. Can you send me your accountant's detail? What do I need to give you? Do I have to fill in, sometimes there's a process that you have to fill in a vendor list or whatever the case. But once I've said yes, the proposal is a done deal. So it shouldn't be happening. And here's the big problem, really, and this is on you. Most salespeople I see, and I evaluate salespeople, so I sit in meetings with them. This is mostly what I see happen. Hi, how are you? We do a bit of building rapport, blah blah blah. I'm this, and you. And you ask about the weather, or some kind of banal kind of comment. And then most people maybe spend 10 minutes, maybe you try and find the problem, a surface level problem. And then what do? Then you go into your solution straight away. So here's the deal. If you have an hour meeting with a prospect, you don't pitch till 15 minutes near the end. So in other words, 45 minutes before you pitch. Okay. But most of us want sex on the first date. So what do? We rush it. We go through the proposal, then we send we go through then we send a proposal because we want to close it quickly. And as you know, in relationships, not many of us are lucky to get sex on the first date. There's a bit of a process that you have to do. You've got to buy a drink, dinner, there's a process. Sales is exactly the same. But where 90% of the salespeople fail is they don't do a proper discovery process. They don't find the real problem or the cost of not solving it. They don't get the person excited enough to realize, if I don't do this now, it's going to cost me money. They don't create enough tension for the prospect to act urgently. And they never get into the decision process. So they just mess up the whole thing. So maybe you wanted something else. Tony, I see the lights have gone out. I'm hoping we don't get cut off. You there?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, just
I'll
tell me.
monitor. I'll monitor. Yeah.
Just WhatsApp me if we do. Then I'll quickly
Okay.
I'll quickly put it on the phone. Okay,
Yes.
so the reality is most of us aren't spending enough time in the decision process, in that discovery process. So I urge you to get into that and spend more time on it. And obviously, you need to have a good script and what have you. So as I keep repeating this, and these slides are actually repeating. So where the sales actually happen, the sale does not happen in the proposal. It happens in the conversation before the proposal is written. And that's really my whole argument, is you're not doing enough work up front, and the proposal is not the sales tool. So it doesn't matter how you write it. The guy's never going to buy from you. And South Africans are very nice. I don't go and sell in Europe and go sell in America. We'd be eaten alive because they're not very nice. I'm just checking that wasn't you sending me a note, Tony. So we don't want to deal. We don't want to tell the person no to their face. So what we say is, please write me a proposal, and then we ghost you, and then that's how it works. So you guys have experienced this a lot. So what are the questions that prevent ghosting? So before sending a proposal, and this is once again in the discovery process, by the way, I'm assuming that all of you in this room have gone through some kind of sales course where they teach you the 7 steps of selling. So let me quickly go by if you haven't. For some of you, for some of you that are smart at it, just forgive me. You first got to build some kind of rapport. So because you got to get them to like and trust you in the first minute or two. Okay. Then you've got to give a general benefit. What does your product do generally, not the whole thing? In my case, I help sales teams close more deals more consistently. If you use me, you come to about you get a 33% increase in sales. So that's my general benefit. Then you do the discovery process. What is your ideal situation? What's your dream? Where are you currently? And then there's a gap. So hopefully they're not at the dream, otherwise they wouldn't be seeing you. And there's a gap, and your job is to fix the gap. What are the obstacles preventing you from hitting your goal? Then they're going to tell you all the problems, and then you get into what we call the dominant buying motive, where you find out what they really, really need. And what they really want as a human being, radio WIIFM, what's in it for me? And then but this is the question you ask: what happens if you don't fix this? What is it costing you? Who else is involved? If this makes sense, what would stop you? So I think many of us aren't asking the hard questions up front, because the reason we're not asking the hard questions up front is because they might say no and not want to go with us. And then we have nothing to put into the pipeline. Then we've got to tell our sales manager, I've got nothing. He's going to say, he or she's going to say, well, you saw all these people, I don't see proposals. But as I said, you've got to have the courage. You have to have the courage to disqualify prospects. Don't just take anyone on board. They just waste time. So,
Jacques, 3 minutes, please.
okay, I'm about to end right now. And then are we doing question and answer, or are we ending?
Yes, we
Okay.
are.
Okay. So I'm not going to labor. I think you've got the message. You've got to close the deal before the proposal. The proposal is not going to close the deal. That is just an agreement of what you are going to do. I hope I make sense. And if you're being ghosted, it's not because they didn't read your proposal, it's because they didn't decide. You have to come to a decision point. It's not your job to write better proposals. Your job is to lead better conversations. I trust this has been helpful to you, and I'm sure we're going to go into a question answer session now. Just quickly, if you could do me this favor, take a minute and just write me a review if you thought this was useful. If you thought it was a klomp stront, then obviously don't send me anything. So just quickly look at that, and then Tony, let's leave this up for a minute, and then let's go into questions and answers.
Okay, people, if you have any questions that you'd like to put out, you can either unmute yourself and put them to us, or else pop over to the chat and put it in there. But just for 1 minute before you do, I've got a question, Jacques. Is it possible that we get too nice in the sales, in the lead up to the sales process, and we
Tony,
never challenge anybody? We
yes,
so desperately don't want to offend somebody. I'm just thinking.
absolutely, Tony. So, so here's my take on it. Most salespeople are obsequious. In Afrikaans is it gatkruip. We're very nice because we don't want to rock the boat. Your job is to rock the boat. Your job is to make the person feel uncomfortable. Um, and you need to have a proper point of view. And sometimes you need to push back on the client. Say, yes, I hear what you're saying, but that's not the way it works. In my experience, this is a better idea. Because you can't just agree to the customer, because then what's the point of having you? Because you're not even adding value. All you're doing is you're taking an order. You need to challenge the client so that they can see a different outcome, a different view that can be better for them. And Tony, if you'll allow me, I'm going to tell the story about, and okay, I think everyone's probably, um,
Go for
uh,
it.
I'm just trying to get out of sharing here. Just hang on a second. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now you can see me. So if I'm going to tell you my favorite story about the dog. So there's two farmers sitting on the stoep after a hard day at the farm, and there's this dog Wachter, and it's scratching its backside. You know, it's uncomfortable. So the one farmer says to the other farmer, "What's wrong with this dog?" He says, "No, he's sitting on a nail." So the other farmer says, "So why doesn't he get off?" And the farmer replies, "Because he's not uncomfortable enough yet." And that's your job, is to make your client uncomfortable. For if they stay in the situation they're in, what's it going to cost them? So that's your job. So yeah, absolutely. We need to push back. Remember, we need to come in as an equal because you're supposedly the expert. Okay. So you don't bow down to the client because sometimes the clients are messing it up. You are there to help them. You're a trusted advisor. Thanks for that, Tony. I see Neil's got his hand up.
Yeah, thanks, Jacques. I just want to find out. So, a lot of my proposals go to EPCs, and it'll come out of the blue. So you don't have that time to, to build a rapport, to go and see them and tell them the general benefits and all that kind of
Okay.
thing.
All right. So that's a system set up. So you're saying you get a quote from the website or someone a request, and then they want you to send them a proposal or a quote. Am I right?
That's it. Like a lot of the big EPCs, like DRA, they have their own like a portal that
Yes.
you have to register to and
Okay.
everything just goes through there. So you'll get this generic type of AI
Yeah.
written mail quote us on this, and it's
Okay. Okay. Well, but you might as well not. You might as well get out of that company because then you're just an order taker. So the structure is wrong. The structure should be for all quotes that come in, we need a junior salesperson or somebody else dealing with that. Not you. If you're an account executive, if you're a senior salesperson, you should not be sending out. You should not be attending to inquiries. You intend to inquiries to see, hey, is this a big company? Yeah. Rather, let me go see them. But if it so the game is set up that procurement sends out the quote, and then they look at the price. So and Neil, you can probably tell me your last 10 that you sent out, how many deals did you close?
one.
Exactly. So it's a 1 out of 10. It's a absolute balls up because your
Yeah.
company has set it up badly. You need an internal salesperson or whatever they're going to call them. They need to deal with all that. Your job is to go look at the big clients that are going to give you real money. That's your job, is to get in there. So even if procurement is sending, you can use it as a lead. You can say, "Oh, procurement from this big company is sending me stuff." Then you're going to go and find the the buyer, not procurement, the actual person that needs what you, and you're going to set up an appointment with them and say, "Listen, I see your procurement is sending out, just quotes, but this needs a bit more study than just a quote. But the point I'm making is your system is not set up well. You should
Yeah.
not be dealing with inquiries.
Unfortunately, we don't have the manpower to, in and out.
Well,
Internal
then,
sales won't be able to do a big project because it's not
then
just not just
Neil,
a-
then, yeah, I hear you. And by the way, I'm not judging you. This is what happens in most sales team. Well, then you're always going to get what you got. My suggestion is you speak up to management and say, this is how it should work, because I'm a high caliber salesperson. Why are you making me? I should be driving a Ferrari. Why are you making me drive a bloody Uno? That's exactly what's happening.
yeah. No,
Yeah,
it is.
but I mean, that's not my fight or your fight. Maybe your company says, well, stuff for you. That's what that's the game. And then you have a decision. Do you want to stay on in the company? Here's the decision. Or do you want to move somewhere where you can get better prospects? Because if you're closing a 1 out of 10, I don't know if you work on commission, but I'd be worried.
I
You
am
know,
very worried.
yeah, no, I would be worried because you can't, and you also sound a lot older. I mean, how old are you now?
I'm 52.
Yeah, but well, I'm a bit older than you. You haven't got time to stuff around, man. So,
Exactly.
and you probably need to look after your pension. So you need to start earning real commission and
Yes.
figure that out. So, and yes, sometimes there's constraints in a company, but I'm just saying a person of your caliber who's probably got huge amounts of institutional knowledge, it is a crying shame that they put you on dealing with orders on fakakta quotes when they should be putting a junior on and sending you out where you can actually make a real difference. So that's
Yeah.
my hobby also, and I'll just get off my soapbox now.
I
But I
mean, for
think,
example, I have to do 21 revisions of one quote. 21 revisions. I had to do 21 revisions of one quote that
no,
we it took like 2, 3 months. It's
Neil, I want to
unbelievable.
come to your company and shake your MD and say, what the hell are you actually even thinking? No, that's ridiculous. And then
Well,
you
he's
probably
resigned.
get it.
He's resigned.
Yeah, well, probably. Okay, anyway, but Neil, I feel for you. I
Yeah.
feel for you.
Thanks.
Okay. Anyone else?
Uh, so people, with that, we're going to be writing to you shortly. We'll give you the details of the recording. If you have any further questions for Jacques, just reply to the mail and we'll be more than happy. Sometimes the question pops up a bit later, and we will give you Jacques' contacts, and we're there to walk the journey with you. And we'd love to be in touch with you as we both go along our journeys. Thanks, Jacques, as always,
Thank you.
insightful, a bit irreverent, but that goes with the territory, and you wouldn't be you if it wasn't a bit like that. Um, and people, we will be in touch. And if you would be interested in what Jacques has to offer, we will send information from time to time. If not, stay with us because there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn, and we're all in the journey together. So, with that, thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to crossing paths with you along the way. Thanks, Jacques. I'll see
Yeah,
you.
thank you, everybody. Thank you. Tony, can we stay on the line when everyone leaves?
Thanks, Jacques. Thanks, Tony.
I'll call you Jacques
Thanks,
if you
man.
don't mind.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Tracy. Bye bye.